Hello there, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Nightline. My name is Handigui. Let's dive into the news. Sensitivity and preparation of the people will be taken into account by the Gabungan Party Sarawak GPS in making decisions related holding an early election. GPS Secretary General Dato' Elizadinanta Linggi said the party will refrain from doing anything contrary to the aspirations and will of the people.
I believe that the state leadership would know best what is for GPS and also for the respective parties, for the government. Of course, I believe that we should be more sensitive to the feelings of the rakyat, you know. I don't think GPS want to go into an election when the rakyat feel that it's not the right time.
Reviewing the statement from Deputy Chief Minister Tan Sri James Masing said there is a possibility that the state government will appeal for the emergency declaration to be lifted if the COVID-19 cases is successfully controlled to enable the state election to take place. Masing revealed the suggestion arose after some state cabinet members had an informal discussion regarding the matter. Alexander, who is also Kapit's MP, said the emergency declaration that was proclaimed gave chance to the state government to postpone the election. In addition, while the country is still plagued by the pandemic, it should be the main concern before making other decisions.
It will not be logical, or rather it will not be really wise for GPS to go for the election if we know very well that the rakyat are still not keen on the election because of their fear for COVID.
Meanwhile, political analyst Awang Asman Awang Pawi said the evaluation from the special committee will determine whether the declaration of emergency should be lifted or otherwise.
Dalam konteks negeri Sarawak yang mahu merayu menarik persiaran daurat tersebut, tetaplah tertakluk kepada kuasa budi bicara yang di-Pertuan Agong, sama ada bersetuju atau sebaliknya.
The proclamation of state of emergency is not with a political motive. Instead, it is used to preserve the health and lives of the people amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
Deputy Minister in the Prime Minister's Department Religious Affairs, Ahmad Marzuq Syari, said if the state of emergency were politicized, the government will definitely take over the administration of the opposition state, for example, in Kelantan back in 1970s.
Sebelum ini kerajaan juga telah menyaksikan bagaimana kerajaan persekutuan pernah mengambil alih pentadbiran negeri berdasarkan kuasa yang diberikan oleh perlembagaan bagi tujuan darurat. Tapi kita masih mengekalkan kuasa Menteri Besar dan esko-esko kerajaan negeri walaupun pada negeri-negeri pembangkang. Dan mereka masih boleh meneruskan urusan pentadbiran seperti biasa. Bahkan kota bagi pihak pembangkang juga telah diwujudkan dalam jawatankuasa khas yang sebagaimana disebutkan tadi.
He explains the taking over of the state government will not happen during the state of emergency. Instead, the federal government will give its cooperation and assistance to the state government without taking into account whether the state is ruled by an opposition party or not. Hence, he said the government hopes that the state of emergency will guarantee transparency to the people and convince them it is not a political ploy.
Walaupun darurat memberi kuasa istimewa dan pengecualian tertentu, kerajaan telah menggunakan mekanisme yang telus dan adil dalam memberi nasihat kepada Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Perdana Menteri telah memberikan jaminan bahawa pilihan raya umum akan diadakan sebaik sahaja jawatankuasa khas bebas yang akan ditubuhkan memperakukan bahawa wabak COVID-19 telah reda atau pulih sepenuhnya.
Right. 40 individuals from 3 different non-governmental organizations, NGO, had lent assistance to restore Rajani Borhan's house, which had collapsed due to previous flood.
According to Persatuan Warisan Anak Sarawak member of the Highest Council, Aminuddin Othman, among the other NGOs that involved are the Perguruan Seni Silat Selendang Abadi and Pekida Junction.
Semua kita bersediakan untuk membantu saudara kita ni. Tugas kita hari inilah untuk membantu meringankan beban sahabat kita. InsyaAllah kita try hari ini, kita nak habiskan hari ini Mesti dapat juga keadaan cuaca, kita akan teruskan dari yang lain.
For Azizi Zaidel, who is also the member of the highest council of Warisan Anak Sarawak, said the NGOs involved also lend assistance such as daily needs, food and many more to flood victims in Kuching.
Sebelum ini kita telah memberi sumbangan kepada masa-masa banjir di Kampung Nabudi, Kampung Gita, memberi sumbangan berbentuk makanan seperti roti dan apa lagi lah untuk membantu mereka. Dan terima kasih juga kepada penaung kita orang Warisan Anak Sarawak iaitu YB Fazudin kerana memberi sedikit bantuan.
The feeling of relief has taken over. This was expressed by Rajani Borhan, who is thankful for the help of his family that the family is receiving.
Alhamdulillah, banyak juga sumbangan yang saya terima dari jiran di kampung dengan saudara sebelah ipar bira saya dan juga bantuan dari saudara-saudara yang datang untuk buat gotong royong hari ini. Jadi sekarang tengah tunggu, insyaAllah akan ada bantuan yang akan menyusul untuk meringankan lagi beban.
The hardship faced by the family has received media attention, and many have also given contributions, including the Sarawak Baitul Mal Fund. At the same time, Rajani stressed that the communal work that took place were adhered to the Standard Operating Procedure or SOP that was set by the government.
Sudah jatuh ditimpa tangga. Itulah gambaran nasib keluarga Rajani Borhan yang dapat saya kongsikan apabila rumah mereka dinaiki air dalam kejadian banjir minggu lepas. Kemudian mereka diuji lagi apabila rumah mereka runtuh akibat tanah mendap. Namun hari ini ramai anggota pertubuhan bukan kerajaan datang untuk membantu membersihkan dan bergotong royong di kawasan rumah mereka. Ini sedikit sebanyak meringankan beban keluarga ini dan memberi mereka sinar untuk terus tabah meneruskan kehidupan. Sekian laporan dari saya, Raden Aida, bersama jurukamera Faitullah Morni untuk TVS Kuching.
The implementation of the Home-Based Teaching and Learning, also known as PDPR, for students nationwide is seen as a challenge, not only for parents but also for teachers and students in having to face various issues. Some students complain that they do not have direct access to the platforms used for PDPR.
Misalnya, guru menggunakan WhatsApp, Telegram, Google Classroom, Google Meet, namun pelajar seringkali mengadu bahawa mereka tidak dapat menyertai PDPR kerana tidak dapat akses kepada platform yang diberikan. Mereka mengadu bahawa mereka tidak pandai untuk mengakses ke link yang diberikan ataupun mengakses kepada platform yang diberikan guru semasa menjalankan PDPR.
Seperti mana yang kita tahu, tidak semua murid mempunyai gadget. Okey. Kebanyakan murid juga mereka akan berkongsi gadget dengan ibu bapa mereka. Dan ini menyukarkan pelajar tersebut untuk mengikuti PDPR secara talian.
Meanwhile, for Norliani PG, other challenges of online classes is the difficulties in monitoring the students' attention and discipline.
Sebenarnya agak sukar untuk mengawal disiplin pelajar di saat-saat pandemik COVID-19 tu. Sebab bila kita melaksanakan PDPR, kita lebih nyaman bersemuka. Jadi bila online, kita sih tahu apa di pola pelajar di sebalik tablet, laptop, di sebalik kamera, di sebalik telefon bimbit yang tidak gunakan. Sebab kadang-kadang tidak tak mudah dapat gangguan di sekitar.
Meanwhile, from the students' perspective, limited interactions are one of the challenges.
Antara pendapat pelajar juga macam tidak ada masalah untuk tanya soalan. Sebab bila online tu tidak susah nak dapatkan contoh nak tanya dengan cikgu yang directly. Contoh macam subjek yang praktikal macam math yang memang perlu akan ajar step by step. Mun dibandingkan dengan kelas bersemuka, tidak boleh tanya direct dengan cikgu. Sama ada cikgu sama ada macam ni nak cara nak menyelesaikan masalah dalam soalan dalam kelas setik.
The water disruption faced by 12 villages in Puncak, Borneo will receive immediate attention. The Sarawak Rural Water Supply Department, JBALB, in a statement today said it was committed to ensuring that the water supply issue plaguing the residents in Puncak, Borneo and the surrounding villages is resolved immediately. According to JBALB, technical problems with the disruption system in the area supervised by the Kuching Water Board have been identified as a main factor in the pressure which caused the amount of water supplied to the area to decrease, resulting in water supply not being able to reach high areas. For the time being, JBALB and LAK are working together to solve the water crisis. However, water supply to the affected areas will be delivered using tanker lorries until the situation returns to normal. Among villages that were affected include Kampung Jambu, Kampung Karu, Kampung Sarik, Sekampung Sipok, Kampung Tabuan Berabak, Kampung Sirah, Kampung Gayu, Kampung Seruma, Kampung Krian, Kampung Peraya, Kampung Kawa Belimbing, and Kampung Belimbing Islam. Now on to the COVID-19 development. New positive COVID-19 cases continue to rise in Sarawak with 255 cases. The state also recorded another 2 COVID-19 deaths, both of which were registered in Sibu district.
Sibu continues to record the highest number of cases with 71, followed by Miri 57, Kanawit at 30 and Song at 27. The total number of positive cases in the state have now increased to 3,379. With the total cases recorded in the past 14 days in Song district is at 27 and Batong 28. Both districts now have changed from green zone to orange zone. Meanwhile, Malaysia recorded 3,346 new positive cases with 11 more deaths recorded due to COVID-19. However, the daily recoveries from the disease also reached a new high with 4,427 cases.
The Health Ministry has approved an allocation of 21 million ringgit to upgrade the facilities, equipment and regions of the various labs in government hospitals in Sarawak. The allocation is intended to increase the capacity test of COVID-19.
According to local government and housing minister Datuk Sri Dr. Sim Kui Hian, Sarawak testing capacity was at 2,500 per day. With the approved allocation, Sarawak would be able to test up to 6,000 samples per day, further accelerating Sarawak's effort to flatten the COVID-19 infection curve. The Health Ministry also had allocated an additional 36 million ringgit for an additional 29 ICU beds and other medical equipment for the Sibu, Bintulu, Miri and Limbang hospitals. He added, even though health is under the federal list, it is Sarawakians' life is at stake. The Sarawak government has helped to urgently fund the government's molecular lab with 1 million ringgit each for Limbang and Kapit to enable PCR tests for COVID-19 at the local hospital there. He pointed out that the state government also did its bit to help increase the testing capacity by providing funds for Unimas City Campus, Borneo Medical Center and Gribbles Pathology Malaysia. He further added, with all these arrangements and cooperation between public and private health institutions, Sarawak will be able to do more than 6,000 PCR tests for COVID-19 per day.
The first batch of COVID-19 vaccines from Pfizer received in Sarawak will go to some 90,000 frontliners. The vaccine will reach Malaysia by end of February and in March.
Local Government and Housing Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Sim Kui Hian said the next priority to receive the vaccine will be high-risk groups in areas with outbreaks. This would include the elderly, those with diabetes, high blood pressure and other pre-existing medical conditions. Sim said all the high-risk individuals would sum up to about 1 million. He added another million would be considered the low-risk group. Dr. Sim said the last group to get the vaccination would be low-risk Sarawakians who are not eligible for free vaccines from the federal government. According to him, reports from the State Health Department showed that the entire process would take at least 6 to 9 months due to Sarawak's large landmass.
Right. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah has expressed concern over the recent spike in the number of COVID-19 clusters involving workplaces. He said from January 6th until 23rd, a total of 350 new clusters were reported and 225 out of them were linked to workplaces.
Dr. Noor Hisham said during the same period, 112,225 people had been screened, of which 28,477 cases were confirmed COVID-19 positive from the clusters. Therefore, he urged all employers and their employees to work hand in hand in assisting the ministry to contain the COVID-19 transmission at workplaces by always adhering to the stipulated standard operating procedures (SOPs). He said employers were responsible to provide conducive residential areas for their employees and ensure that they always practice infection prevention measures. According to Dr. Noor Hisham, employees must also avoid gathering in confined places and observe physical distancing at all times.
Now moving on, Assistant Minister for Local Government and Housing, who is also the Assemblyman for Marudi, Dr. Pangwang Manggil, ordered food assistance to IMA household residents and frontliners following the spread of COVID-19.
Previously, household residents of Emma located near Liam Bakong River was imposed a restriction of movement control order starting January 11 until January 25, 2021. He said the assistance was given after the imposition of movement control order period was extended until February 8, 2021. The food assistance was handed over by the Progressive Democratic Party or PDP Youth Wing in representing Dr. Pangwang Manggil. Meanwhile, frontliners located at the restriction station were also given food assistance located at Sungai Liam, Simpang Rumah Apol, Simpang Sungai Antulang, and Selepin in Jalan Beluru, Bakong.
It is estimated that an amount of 10 million face masks would dispose carelessly every day. Following the statistics, responsible parties were urged to find new methods of recycling to address the disposal of personal protective equipment (PPE).
Alliance for Safety Community or Ikatan Chairman Tan Sri Lee Lam Thai said most used face masks and gloves will end up in landfills, causing drainage blockage and pollute rivers. He hopes that all parties and groups would emulate health authorities which have instituted proper standard operating procedures or SOPs on the disposal of PPEs and to enforce rules on waste separation.
The Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation's expectation is to hit 20% growth in e-commerce contribution to the digital economy. It can be achieved as the COVID-19 pandemic has given a huge boost to digital adoption among entrepreneurs.
Vice President of Digitally Powered Businesses for Industry Supply, Gopi Ganesalingam, said that in 2019, the digital economy had contributed 19.1% to the gross domestic product. Gopi said ASEAN is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. Connecting and promoting Malaysian tech business to the region as a start will be a huge boost. He said Malaysia is already holding leadership position in many tech sectors. Reskilling, upskilling and producing good digital talent is crucial for the digital economy moving forward. The gig economy is on the rise. This needs to be harnessed and grown to stay globally competitive.
Foreign companies that have invested in Malaysia said they remain committed to the country. They value and appreciate the long-term partnership with the Malaysian government and look forward to many more years of success.
On the re-implementations of the Movement Control Order, MCO 2.0, and the emergency proclamation, many of the companies said the development had not affected their confidence in investing in the country. Malaysian German Chamber of Commerce and Industry Chief Executive Officer Daniel Bernbach said German investors in Malaysia mostly show a tendency to continue with their pre-existing investment plans. Most of these investments are in high technology and have a long planning phase that started 2 to 3 years back. He said the arrangement cannot be suddenly stopped, reversed or changed, and this applies to many big players and multinational companies.
Police arrested 4 men comprising of 3 students for violating the movement control order at Jalan Sentosa, Salim.
To Cebu District Police Chief ACP Stanley Jonathan Ringgit, the four were aged between 16 to 42. Upon investigation, the suspect explained they had just left their friend's house after playing computer games. They also went out to watch illegal motorbike racing. The police team, however, did not accept their excuse as they should be at home during MCO. They were subsequently fined 1,000 ringgit each under the Prevention and Control of Infectious Disease measures within the infected local areas Regulation 3/2020 and Act 342/1988 of the same regulation.
3 local men and 11 illegal immigrants involved in drug abuse were arrested in Bau. Chief Police Bau District Deputy Superintendent of Police Poirier said the arrest was from an integrated operation of crime prevention carried out by 9 officers and 28 police members from various branches.
Poirier said the 3 locals are currently detained under Section 12(2) of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952 and Section 15(1) subsection A of the same Act. Meanwhile, the illegal immigrants, which consist of 6 males and 5 females without documentation, have been deported to the Malaysia-Indonesia border. Poirier stressed major operations will be continued to prevent criminal activities and entry of foreign immigrants.
Former Director Federal Agriculture Marketing Authority Sarawak Pazadan was elected as the new Deputy Secretary General and Treasurer of the Football Association Sarawak (FAS). The appointment of Pazadan was announced by FAS President Dato' Posa Majais after the Executive Council meeting were held at the State Stadium located in Petrajaya, Kuching.
Posa also believes in Paza's experience in helping, mobilizing and improving the association management. Meanwhile, Paza promises to utilize his experience in leading the state's PAMA to help revitalize the football glory in Sarawak.
The Malaysian Football League MFL has denied claims that the 2021 Malaysian League M-League competition will be cancelled. MFL Chief Executive Officer Datuk Abdul Ghani Hassan is putting in effort to ensure Malaysia football calendars will be carried out during these trying times. Abdul Ghani explains that his party is currently working with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, also known as KBS, Ministry of Health Malaysia, National Security Council (MKN), and National Sports Council to implement the best method in ensuring that all the stipulated standard operating procedures are complied to. Abdul Ghani also expressed his disappointment after seeing the false report claiming the Malaysian League 2021 had to be cancelled because it also had a negative impact on sponsors other than the government agencies that has come forward in helping MFL and bringing success in the planning of the local league. The statement also revealed that MFL, as the governing body of the M-League, will issue a media statement regarding this year's local footballing schedule by next week. Former two-weight world champion Conor McGregor was left stunned on his return to the UFC as Dustin Poirier claimed victory in their rematch at UFC 257. Dustin Poirier vowed to shock the world, and he did just that as the Diamond poured cold water on Conor McGregor's UFC comeback with a vicious second-round knockout victory. And although the Irishman edged the first round, Poirier unleashed a flurry of punches to seal a technical knockout 2 minutes 32 seconds into round 2. Having established his range, Poirier slipped McGregor's fluent punches and upped the tempo, taking center of the ring and unleashing a flurry of strikes that the Notorious simply had no answer for. Poirier snapped the Irishman's head back with a beautiful uppercut, sending McGregor sprawling before following up with a strong right hook that left the former two-weight world champion in a daze. Only seconds later did referee Herb Dean step in to wave off the contest and hand the Diamond a monumental victory to shake up the lightweight division. Poirier's win moves him into prime position to fight the UFC gold once more, having lost to all-conquering Khabib Nurmagomedov back in September 2019. Well, looks like we have come to an end of the Nightline. With that, I'm Handy Gui. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant night.